lovers, acquaintances. Today we will be making my favorite Daphne dress from Bridgerton. I'm gonna be walking you through step by step of how I made this dress so that you can copy it for your own project, or you can use it as inspiration, see kind of the different things that I pulled from, different ideas I had in my noggin, and make your own dress. Maybe you already have your own plain blue dress and you just wanna embellish it and make it into a cute costume. That's awesome. I think this will give you a lot of inspiration for that because everything I bought was from the local craft store. She looks kind of spooky back there, doesn't she? I thought it was gonna be like aesthetic-y, and instead I just kind of feel like, girl, I see you, don't even. There were 2 small pieces of lace that I used that are from my own collection, but I honestly think you could find similar replicas at your local craft store as well. So everything you can get from there. I gotta watch over my shoulder to make sure she's not gonna do anything. I spent about $82 with coupons and everything to buy the materials for this dress. I actually think that's a steal because a lot of times costumes on Amazon, like decent ones, are at least $60. They're literally trash. You get them and they're trash. So this is gonna be way better made. Obviously it takes a lot more time, so that's, you know, it's not that much more expensive. It just takes time out of your life, and time is money, so please subscribe if this video tickles your fancy. That mean a lot to me. Mean a lot. And follow me on my IG because I do post in my stories like while I'm making it in real time, so you can kind of see all the ups and downs. All right, let's make this thing. That's embarrassing. Okay. So this was the closest pattern I could find to Daphne's dress at the store. So we're just gonna make it work. I only used it for the top. Here are the supplies I bought. Feel free to pause if you wanna check them out more. And of course I had some glue to glue those pearls on. I also recommend getting a little bit of interfacing, and I'll explain this a little more later on if that's new to you. Then I open up the pattern to find this sizing chart. Sometimes they're on the envelope and sometimes they're on the actual pattern. I only had to take these measurements listed because I'm not making the entire pattern, just the top. So just ignore the numbering for now. I'll explain that in a second. This sizing chart is pretty great because it actually shows you where exactly on your body you need to measure as well, which I love for beginners. But yeah, so I just correspond these with the numbers on the chart, and then I wrote down my measurements and then found those numbers and where they fit in the chart. So sometimes your numbers are going to be like 2 different sizes, but either way I circle where they are, like there I'm in between sizes. This pattern specifically told me if I'm in between sizes to size down, so that's great information to know. So yeah, we're only making the top, and you only need these 4 pieces. We're not making the bottom, just this top piece. We're gonna make our own skirt. Oh yeah, I have a super helpful sizing tip. This could literally save you. It's a key ingredient to my sewing. So there's something called finish measurements, and it's either on the package or on the actual pattern. You're gonna look at the size you think you're gonna be, and then you're gonna look at the measurement, and that's actually gonna tell you if you sew all the pieces together, this is the size it's gonna be around your body. So you can actually check out that size and see if it's too tight or too loose, because everybody likes to wear their garments with different ease anyways. So it's a great way to check the fit. I like mine more fitted, so I always check that to see the finished garment size. Okay, so I cut out all my pieces. Look, this is all I have. That big pile was all the stuff I'm not using, which is crazy. Okay, so I thought I'd go into a little more detail about how to read the pattern pieces. So here it says 2 times the main fabric, and you also need 2 times the lining fabric. It tells you it's the side front piece, and it also tells you the seam allowance is 5/8 inch. This arrow indicates the grain line up the fabric. It's gonna help you position the pattern piece on the fabric correctly, because that actually matters if you didn't know. So this again is just the finished measurement sizes. Taking a look at that, it's not on every pattern piece. So there's a line across all these patterns that I just cut, and it's made to lengthen or shorten the pattern piece depending like on your height. But I actually just want to shorten it because if you look here at Daphne, her piece is so short compared to the actual pattern. I felt like I could take an inch off and it would look more accurate. Then I'm just fixing this little hiccup that happens sometimes when you change the pattern. Now we're finally getting to the fabric. Okay, so this is the selvage. You can see it looks a little bit different than the other edges. You put those two selvages together like so, and it's right side of the fabric to the right side of the fabric. Okay, so I always start with a piece that says center fold, so it has to be placed on that fold line. You cut all the way around, and then just do not cut where the fold is. That's important because it's going to open up like a book to give you one full piece, which is why you only need one of those and you don't have to cut two separate ones. So I line up the rest of my pieces, and I make sure that grain line arrow is parallel to the selvage by measuring. So if it's like 12 inches and then like 12 1/4, I just move it slightly to make sure it's straight. And then I cut them out, which is so satisfying. Okay, quick interfacing lesson. These are the 3 types I have. One is like synthetic, it has little dots on it, and it's a lot cheaper. You'll find that everywhere. This one is double sticky. I don't use that very often. And then this one is actually woven. See, it looks more like fabric, and it still has sticky on one side, so you can iron them directly to the fabric. It basically makes your fabric more stable, and it tends to make your garments look nicer. I cut out all the pattern pieces again. See, there's 2, so I need 2 of that in the interfacing, and then apply it to each of the lining pieces. So I, iron the lining first, and then I apply the interfacing. Just follow the directions on the packaging, and look how happy my fabric is to be stabilized. I'm such a nerd. All right, we've got our first mistake. I do this all the time. Right before I made this mistake, I said to myself, don't make that mistake. So, and then I went and I made it. So I cut out all the lining pieces, and I knew the lining needed to be interfaced, but I just forgot, and I got anxious and I started sewing. So I just had to add the interfacing. I don't want to add the interfacing onto this seam allowance, so it won't stick right and it'll be all wonky. So you just kind of have to cut it down. So here's my lining pieces. All I need to do is cut the seam allowance like by half, and then cut these cute little triangles so that it fits better. The front turned out like pretty good. The back, on the other hand, did not turn out so well. Like, look at all these weird, awful wrinkles. Oh gosh, oh gosh. And honestly, I used like this super cheap interfacing that I do not recommend, but I still keep using it. So this is just the lining. It's just gonna be against my skin, like it'll actually be facing this way, so no one will ever see it. Make sure that you have like, an extra like centimeter on each end when you try it on, so that you can put the zipper in. Okay, so I've tried on the lining and it fits great. So next steps are to cut the outer fabric in the same size since we liked, and then one out of the lace. And then we're gonna connect. Excuse me. So when I cut out lace, I usually do it one layer at a time instead of folding it because it's just so slippery. So you just have to make sure when you cut out one, you immediately flip it over like so you get the right piece. So I line up my lace now with my outer fabric, and then I'm just gonna base stitch around the whole outside before I sew the pieces together like the lining, so that way the lace stays in place. Then I base stitch this lace on top of all that. The sleeves did not go as planned. It was bad. Honestly, I don't really have words because I'm pretty pissed. Sometimes I can figure out a way to fix it, but I don't think this is one of those times. My plan was to show you how I drafted my own sleeve, but there was like 80 million problems. So I'm not gonna show you that. I did take a Craftsy class, and that's how I learned this skill, but it's definitely still new to me. It honestly might be easier to go to the thrift store, find a long sleeve shirt that's baggy, and just cut out the sleeve and use that as the pattern, because these sleeves are basically see-through and like not that big of a deal. So maybe you could figure out how to make that work. That's my only 2 cents. Guys, I had a dream. I had a dream that I was going to do this really clear DIY for you guys, but I can't do anything simple. Good morning, baby. Good morning. And if I just followed the freaking pattern and I just didn't add a ton of embellishments, like it probably would have been simple, but no. So this isn't really a DIY. just me surviving another day of learning how to sew. Because I think a lot of people are like, how do you do that? I wish I could sew like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I can barely sew myself. I don't know, people. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm just copying the steps sometimes, and then other times I'm making it up, and it goes poorly. And that's that. This is one of those dresses that's just like probably not gonna lay right till it's on my body, or maybe never. Okay, so I did a poll yesterday on IG, Instagram, about whether or not this lace should be like below, like the bust line as such, or higher up. So if you bet on bottom lace, you're the winner. You go, Glen Coco. We just need to make this skirt now. I literally just draped it on here. This is not made. So in my head, it's like really gonna be easy. So let's see. Guys, it actually was easy. I just measured from my empire waist to the floor and then added my seam allowances. Then for the width of the skirt, you just measure the widest part of your body and you add 3 to 4 inches for ease so you can sit down and stuff. Then once I got some ice cream, I cut the fabric. Let's put this dress together. So I stitched 2 lines of gathering stitches at the top of the skirt. Then I found the middle of the bodice like so, and then connected it to the middle of the skirt with a pin. Then I gathered the skirt so it fits the size of the bodice. Oh, we're already to the details. I guess I didn't show sewing the skirt. Well, it was boring. That's done. So now I'm gonna glue just the top of the lace because it was like hanging down. This glue is fantastic. It's called Gutermann, I think. And then I pinned all the flowers I wanted in place. It was pretty intensive. And glued them. You can definitely just do this on the floor. The mannequin is just helpful. Then I added these tiny little pearls. The ones that I bought from Amazon were actually too big. These are 5mm, I think, and I recommend them. They were just dainty enough to work. So I just glued the lace on the bottom of the sleeves because it's my costume and I get to do what I want. Oh no! Look at me desperately trying to scrape this glue off. It didn't work. Last but not least, we are making her shawl. I just made it 13 inches wide, seemed about right. I cut this in the main fabric as well as the lace. I sewed the right sides together, easy peasy lemon squeezy, and then turned the whole thing inside out. I was almost done, and then I just sewed it shut, the tiny little hole there. Let's do a reveal. Wow, so honestly, I would totally wear this dress like to the dentist. Please comment below if you want me to wear this to my dentist appointment. I do have one coming up.
This is me, I'm so royal, and you all wanna be round. Yeah, you all wanna be round. Round a champion, a champion. I got tons of soul on my true collectible. Famous is so famous, #1 desirable. I do what I want when I want and how I want it. Leave you with the one in the air, that's how I roll. I got change to throw, I don't care about no gold. Better, so much better, flipping incredible. Always on the show so they know that I still got it. And I never feel sorry, yeah, to fuck the world. This is me, I'm so royal.
Next week, I'm gonna be showing you how to make this adorable sweatpants suit. I think that's what it's called. If this project scared the crap out of you, do not fear. Next week, we'll be doing something that is absolutely accessible to beginners. Come back next week and see how to make this sweatsuit. You're honestly gonna feel amazing if you make this for yourself because you can literally tell everyone, I made this. And they're going to be like, ah, you're so talented. And you're gonna feel good. Bye, friends.
Yeah, cause I know I'm a superstar in the sky to lead you on. Haters gonna hate us, approve of how they love. They can bring me down, nah. They are jealous.